Ebola virus disease, EVD, is a severe acute viral illness, often characterized by the sudden onset of fever, intense weakness, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat. According to the World Health Organization, Ebola virus disease has hit 5 countries in West Africa. In today's edition of Healthwise, we'll be shedding more light on how to prevent the spread of this deadly viral disease called Ebola. You all are welcome. Welcome back. This is Healthwise, your informative and educative health talk show. I'm so delighted to introduce to you in the studio the Honorable Commissioner for Health, Lagos State, Dr. Olajide Idris. Thank you so much for coming, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Beside the Honorable Commissioner for Health, I have Dr. Abidoye Sunday, is WHO State Coordinator. Thank you very much for coming, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Presenter.
I have Dr. Jemilade Longe, is the Director of Disease Control from Lagos State Ministry of Health. Thank you so much, Dr. Longe, for coming.
My pleasure.
Now, Dr. Olajide Idris, please, can you educate us on this Ebola virus?
Well, Ebola virus, for the benefits of the school children, a virus, call it a germ. It can come in various forms, but this is a particular virus. You have viruses, you have bacteria, you have fungi, all germs. But this virus, I think you cannot see with your human eye at all, except through the microscope. They cause disease. This particular virus, in the sense that it was first discovered that it infected some animals, like the fruit bats, a long time ago. And again, as like chimpanzees and monkeys. That's what the literature says. However, it first spread to a human by contact of an infected animal to the human. And a human-to-human contact can only occur if a human being is in contact with the secretions of another infected human being. What we mean by secretions, it could be saliva, it could be sweat, it could be vomitous, it could be blood, and it could be urine. That anybody who is infected, all those fluids in the body are generally will be infected. They have those viruses. So if another person comes in contact with these secretions, the person is likely to get Ebola. The Ebola virus, it presents in a way that the common problems we have here in this country, they present in a similar way, just like malaria, typhoid, even your normal flu. They present in a similar manner. You can have fever, you have body aches, you have joint pains, you have nausea, but again, you can now start vomiting and having diarrhea. Many diseases can present like that. But for Ebola, if it continues like that, you can start seeing blood in some of these secretions. So your vomiters may contain blood, the urine may contain blood, the stool may contain blood. And again, they bleed internally. And that's why it's very, very dangerous, because if you bleed internally, you may not know until it's too late. And that's about anybody who has the virus, it's not contagious, it's not infectious, until those symptoms start manifesting. And the first symptom that it can manifest is just fever. So what we are doing as a state government is, those of them we feel are contacts. If you recollect again, this virus was introduced into Nigeria by one Mr. Patrick Sawyer, a Liberian, who was infected. But as it came into this country, nobody knew that he had Ebola virus. So the first group of people who came into contact with to help him were those people now that came down with the disease. And luckily, he came from the airport. They tried to help him. The people who tried to help him from the ECOWAS were some of the people who had the disease. Then when they went to that hospital, the first consultant, all the doctors and nurses who came into contact with the first time, because they didn't know what he had. The virus is very, very contagious. So I've told you how it presents. And that's why when it first came in, the first thing we did was, unfortunately, the man died. And a dead Ebola patient is even more dangerous than a live one, because the virus now can multiply quickly. And that's why the first thing we did was to ensure that we decontaminated the body, we bagged it properly according to protocol, and buried him. That way, we reduce the source of contact. The next one now was all the people who had been in contact with him. We had to trace them because it was very, very essential to trace them. Tracing them, that's the only way you can curb the virus.
Sure.
You need to trace every single contact. So what we did was, even all the contacts that were with him on the plane, on that flight to this scene, we got their names listed, their numbers. All the contacts, all the people who came in contact with him in the hospital, we got their names, we traced them. And what we normally do is that if you are in contact, we counsel you, explain to you what Ebola is, how it can present, and they need to watch out for the symptoms. And each one of them was given a thermometer.
Okay.
The thermometer was there to measure their temperature twice a day, morning and evening. Any one of them that had a temperature above 38.5, we brought out from the house, because now they can get very infectious. So we brought them out and put them in isolation. So to answer her question, what have we put in place? We put in place so many things. We created a team of contact tracers. That's their job. They will go to every house, they will be in contact with every contact by phone, every day, twice a day. Hello, Mr. X, what's your temperature today? What's your temperature in the morning? What's your temperature in the afternoon?
Wow.
If he says the temperature is normal, we say okay, but try as much as possible to move away from people who live in the house. If possible, move them. Because you can't put everybody in isolation.
Sure. But
once the temperature goes beyond that level, you have to bring them out of that house or community, take them to isolation, then decontaminate the house. Because to prevent infection. So the next group of people who have been in contact with this group are now called secondary contacts. We have to list them again and follow them up just like the first one. And to answer a question, the major challenge we had was, if you recollect from Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone, a lot of people died. That's because a lot of people ran away from these people because everybody was afraid that this is Ebola. And because they did not know what to do, how to protect themselves, they left these patients to die. We have tried to reduce that. We are still trying because fear is one. Everybody was scared. So one of the challenges we had was getting people to do contact tracing, that is to follow up all these contacts, getting people to look after those people that actually confirmed cases in the isolation ward. And that's why the state government and federal government came up with the idea of asking for volunteers, and we had to give them incentives for them to be able to work.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Dr. Olajide Idris. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Dr. Sunday, let's talk about the role of WHO in this situation.
Yes, thank you very much. The World Health Organization is the UN arm of the United Nations that supports government to ensure the good health of every nation in the world.
Okay.
In Nigeria, we have been able to also support the federal government of Nigeria, as well as Lagos state government and other state governments to ensure that we contain this Ebola disease outbreak. In the first instance, you realize that after we have identified or established that there is an outbreak, the next was to ensure that we play a leadership role, setting up the standard that is supposed to work. And this standard was also broken into groups and pieces in which WHO play major role in all those groups. And I will tell you those things. One, the leadership role we play is to lead other arms of or groups of or organizations to support the government in full measure so as to ensure that we have all the necessary personnel in all fields and give necessary support.
Okay, that's good.
Number two is that we are entered into case management, because you realize that Ebola virus disease has not occurred in Nigeria before. So, but for this one, we have to support the state government with the technical know-how that is needed to be able to manage such disease. And on the field, we were the one that led in the case management of Ebola disease. WHO was the one that led, and then we were able to pass that knowledge to other colleagues at the national level. Then we went ahead to support the laboratory, ensuring that we have necessary equipment and reagents to continue to work appropriately. We didn't stop that. We deploy officers, personnel from national and international, to support contact tracing, which is major, which is key, which is a priority activity, so that we'll be able to ensure that they didn't escape from our radar.
Okay.
Not only that, we went ahead to support, containment of the spread of the disease at the points of entry.
Good.
In such, when somebody entered, for example, either from the airport or seaport or ground crossing, that becomes another problem. Okay. So we have to ensure that we put other things in place, like developing what is supposed to be done and deploying people to ensure that it is done. Playing a key role in giving supportive supervision and direction onto what to do and how to carry it out at a high level. Then we go ourselves to even supervise at the lowest level, either at the point of entry, either airport or ground crossing or at the seaport. Now, we also went ahead to give, to mobilize, we are in because there's a social mobilization group, we are also in that group, ensuring that all the groups, organizations are well informed on how to do and what to do when you have Ebola disease outbreak. Also, at the background, we are supporting highly data management, because when you are talking of data, you must be able to collect, collate, analyze, and give information.
Okay.
So as to be able to render appropriate decision-making, recommendations. So we are also deep into data management, in which we have officers who can assist us to put those things in place. Logistics-wise, we are also supporting in terms of transport and of officers, so as to be able to move. How Lagos can be, in terms of traffic, it can be hectic sometimes. So we are also supporting in terms of such logistics, and we are paying advocacy at all levels, so that there can be commitment, either at the government, either the high federal, state level, so as to be able to make things work on time. And we are continue without resting to ensure that we give feedback, support the feedback appropriately to all necessary agencies and government.
Yeah, I want the Commissioner to attest to all the points you've mentioned. Are they really facts?
Oh, definitely. No, what they said was correct.
Okay.
The fight against Ebola is a collaborative one.
Okay.
Everybody brings in to the table a set of expertise, and we all work together for a common goal. So like you did say, they have quite a lot of people who have expertise in, because they worked in different countries before. They brought in a lot of protocols, how you do things in a very, very comprehensive way. And of course, with the manpower we are providing, the equipment, the facilities, and the people, yes, we're able to put everything together to address a common cause. So what you said is very, very correct.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Longe, what misconceptions are generally associated with the virus? And please, I want you to correct them.
Well, there have been in fact, a major challenge, apart from the technical, some of those ones that the Honorable Commissioner has said, actually is still the area of rumors and management of rumors. There have been cases of people who have laid claim that, okay, the thing could be healed. And there have been cases of various recipes and all of that, and some people have actually gone ahead to be adversely affected even while trying to use some of those recipes. Again, there have been cases of rumors, and especially on the social media. The EOC, that's the center, Emergency Operation Center, created to manage this, in its wisdom, created so many platforms by which information could be disseminated. And part of this platform included the social media, i.e. Twitter, SMS, Facebook. We created a website, and some of these have actually been used also to spread false rumors. So some of these rumors are being managed. A major misconception again is that the Honorable Commissioner has actually alluded to is the issue that, okay, maybe if somebody has malaria, the moment you touch that person, that is not true until and when that person becomes effective. So the person, and that is becoming obvious now. Again, we have some people have recovered, and there have been some perception again. There has been a kind of perception that, okay, is it actually true that this is Lagos State not doing some kind of voodoo? And to a great extent, the fact that the American doctor also was recovered and openly was seen to have recovered and was embraced, that puts to rest some of this. So a lot of this misconception being addressed essentially on the basis of information given. And that's why from time to time, regularly, maybe once or twice, 3 times a week, the Honorable Commissioner comes forth to update Lagosians and Nigerians on the state of things, and using such an opportunity to actually address misconceptions and actually giving a correct perspective of what is actually taking place. And that's what we are doing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Longe. I want the Honorable Commissioner for Health to delve more on what you've just said. But before then, let's go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Ebola is a final virus named after a river in Zaire, its first site of discovery. This filovirus is usually fatal, and it affects monkeys, apes, and humans. The Ebola virus is spread through close personal contact with a person who is infected with Ebola. Oftentimes, infection in previous outbreaks have occurred among hospital care workers or family members who were caring for an ill or dead person infected with Ebola virus. Person becomes infected with the Ebola virus, the virus enters the body and begins to multiply. The virus can travel in the blood to almost any part of the body, including the liver, spleen, pancreas, thyroid gland, lungs, kidneys, skin, brain. After 4 to 6 days on average, symptoms of Ebola can begin. The period between the transmission of the virus and the start of Ebola symptoms is called the Ebola incubation period. The Ebola incubation period can be as short as 2 days or as long as 21 days.
Welcome back. And we're still here on Elsewise. We've been discussing the deadly disease, Ebola virus. Now, Honorable Commissioner for Health, I want you to talk more on the misconceptions and how you've been able to handle the situation.
Well, I will address 3 major ones that have pervaded the country.
Okay.
If you all recollect, some people came out that if you took bitter cola, it can cure the disease.
Sure.
That is one that everybody talked about. But as far as we are concerned in the ministry or the federal ministry or state ministry, there has been no study to show that bitter cola is effective. However, you also recollect that the federal minister has set up more like a research group to look into this. Worldwide, you cannot come up with a treatment without necessarily going through different phases of how good that treatment is, how efficacious that is. The same way that they produce drugs. If we start with a drug now, they have to test the drug in animals. If it works, Then they do what they call experimental study with volunteers. Human beings have to volunteer, okay, I want to participate in this. But they tell you the risk, because the drug can produce something positive for this disease, but you don't know what the side effects will be. Just like the drugs they use for HIV now, they can reduce the viral load, but again, a lot of them cause other things that are very, very difficult, they have for the long term. So they need to ensure that whatever drug they approve will have less side effect. That is, the positive aspect of that drug will far outweigh the negative aspect. So, as far as we are concerned, bitter cola has not been proven scientifically that it can cure Ebola. The other one that people were talking about, that if you took salt water, that it will reduce the same, that is totally false. It is untrue. Because if you drink salt water, the chances are that a lot of, especially the older people, will get hypertension. So, don't listen to salt water has not been known to cure Ebola. The last one was that some people saying they have cures for Ebola, they have from vaccines. It is not true. As at now, there is no vaccine. But they are working on experimental trying to see how to produce a vaccine, but they are still working on it. As at now, there is no vaccine that can cure. What the WHO has done is to accelerate, to fast track the process of developing these vaccines. So right now, Ebola has no specific cure, no vaccine. What we do is to support any patient who presents with symptoms and who has been found positive for Ebola. We support them by way of, depending on how they present. If anybody knows of anybody who is suspected of having Ebola by the fact that presenting with symptoms or has had contact with any Ebola patient, let us know so that that person will be brought out will be started early on treatment.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So that takes me to my next question, sir.